The Han invasion is heating up, and as the stakes escalate, people are getting more and more excited to see how will Qin manage to finally take over an entire state, something they've failed to do for almost over 1,000 chapters. What's To gonna show? What's his true strength like? We know what we want to see. We want to see hands being thrown, and the hype for these characters to reach a new level. One that feels like a worthy showcasing to kick off such a monumental moment in Kingdom's history. But what do we not want to see? What should horror avoid at all costs to make this arc a solid and memorable one? Here are the top 5 things we don't want to see in this arc. At number 5, we got To not getting another vague strategic feat. Now, there's been a lot of debate about To's level of intellect and how special he is as a commander in general, and what exactly separates him from other very solid all-rounders like an Eiko or a Gyoun or a Kensaro, that most people think To is clearly at least a level above, with the justification usually being how intelligent he is, despite us not getting all that much from To in that regard. To fans are still steadfast in their belief that To is a monster strategically, and has just yet to show his true worth, and when he does, the fandom will see he's either capable of competing or holding his own with anyone in terms of strategy like Oki was able to, or that he's just very exceptional strategically, even if he can't quite contend with like an Osen or Riboku. Now, this is a very widespread belief, and this belief has not faltered throughout the years, despite the lack of substance to back it up. While To hasn't necessarily proven he's incapable, he also hasn't shined all that much strategically either. And when he gets his strategical ability hyped up, it's usually either just that, hype without a proper feat to back it up, or something that's hard to pinpoint how impressive it is. Like holding his own against someone like Rayo strategically, but off screen. Now, whether you agree with the To fans or not, I think we can all agree we don't want more of this shit. We want something that's very detailed, or at least pretty obvious to pinpoint how impressive it is, without having to rely on statements or character hype. We want to see To in a drawn-out battle of wits, if Haru's willing to show that, of course, but at the very least, we want whatever goes down to not be vague and leave a lot of room for interpretation. Rakuwan seems like a good opponent to have this happen, so hopefully we get something more concrete from To this time around. Let's see it, To. For number 4, we got Rakuwan not being all that great. Now, I'm not sure what the general perception of Rakuwan's ability is. People aren't really going crazy over this guy, but people seem to respect him. But there's just much more of an overwhelming feeling of this is Qin's time to shine and dominate, much more so than being super invested in how great Rakuwan is. But at the same time, we obviously don't want him to be a pushover, and Hara is capable of making him very impressive, while still fulfilling Qin's goals of a dominant victory, if he wants to. And I'm hoping he does, since To needs a good opponent to truly shine. We want to see a formidable opponent being a barrier to taking out a state. Similar commanders to Rakuwan and bootleg Mobu like Gyoun and Chogaryu, Kensaro and Jiaga have been impressive, so Rakuwan should be as well. His impressiveness shouldn't be sacrificed to give Qin the overwhelming victory they need to get. Though it is a tough position as a writer, so who knows with this one. Rakuwan's design and personality are kind of unique, so there's that. Maybe that gives some hope, but I'm really not sure about this one. There might even be fans that want Rakuwan to be a pushover compared to To, and to just claim that that's just how great To is, but that shit's lame and will just most likely lead to people saying To still has yet to truly prove himself against great competition, so we definitely want Rakuwan to put in some work here. He seems very confident and unfazed, so good signs, good signs. At number 3, we got something very similar but not quite the same, and that's the Han generals going out without getting to showcase all that much in terms of feats. Now, they can still be very impressive technically, while going out without getting to show all that much. Like bootleg Mobu can dual Shin and put up a good fight and lose and die, and man, how lame would that be? This dumb fuck just throws himself at Shin and dies, and it's that easy? Now, I don't believe Haru would do that, but again, if we need to blitzkrieg this campaign, then that possibility is definitely there. I'm sure Rakuwan is going to feel like a compelling commander ability-wise, to some extent, but man, I really just don't want him to do like one thing and then insta-dies. I know people are tired of seemingly every fighting kingdom being similar difficulty, and it seems like any hobo can come off the street and he'll give Shin a good go or whatever. Maybe the series hasn't had as much variety as it should have with presenting different caliber generals, but we want to see Rakuwan and bootleg Mobu have some type of back and forth and get to showcase multiple feats. I remember years ago when people were questioning how the Han campaign will live up to the hype when we've already faced so many monsters, and maybe it's just supposed to be kind of underwhelming, as that's fitting of Han, but man, fuck that. Fuck all that. Toe Slayer Rakuan about to show his true worth. For number 2, Shin not seeming like the same old commander. Going back to what I said about every general and their mama apparently being strong enough to give Shin a good go, I know that's pissed a lot of people off, and though I largely think that's due to people underestimating the guys that Shin's gone up against, and not being able to accept Hoken isn't way stronger than like a Gyoen or a Chogaryu, so they just claim ass pull. It's not an ass pull, that's just cope. However, it does get repetitive seeing Shin put up what feels like a similar level performance in each and every arc, and yet to truly reach the next stage, whether his performances make sense or not. I don't have a problem with Bootleg Mobu giving Shin a good fight, but Shin needs to separate himself in some regard. That moment where he outplayed Riboku, finally pulling off a Duke level feat with his instincts, in the hypest comparison between Shin and Duke in the series to date, that was special, man. And that moment, I thought that level of hype was going to be the norm from here on out, and instead we got Shin chasing a Twinkie while Kin gets crushed, which was cool, I guess, but for real though, we need that level of impressiveness from Shin to be the norm now, and from here on out, Shin needs to be #different now. And finally, for number 1, the most important one of all, we need Hara to not skimp out on us on delivering a wholesome moment between Toe and the princess. But for real though, we need Toe to not play second fiddle this arc. We don't care that he's a bottom, so Oki naturally led everything, so he's used to it. We don't care that he only wanted to take on the easiest state and is going to retire after this, so he might as well keep leaving the new gen to do everything. We don't care that like Oki, he wants to see the new gen grow and prosper. We need to see Toe take the reins and have the most impact in this arc. And no, I don't mean by getting the princess to have Han's capital surrender with an emotional speech and lots of Wano crying. We've waited long enough to see Toe show his full potential. While this arc is a huge moment for Shin, that shouldn't be enough to make Shin the main focus impact-wise yet again, when Toe's done so little in the series. Toe needs to drag his balls across the board and let everyone know he's the big Mamu, whether that's just by beating Rakuan, who's Han's best general, or by dueling Bootleg Mobu, putting up a good performance, gaining an advantage and doing so on the board, and also facing off against Rakuan and showcasing multiple impressive strategical feats, possibly even saving the Haishin unit. I'd like to see that. Many ways Har can go about it, but make Toe the big star of this battle, Har. For fuck's sake, we don't want to see him play second fiddle again. Also, Roku Omi dying would be pretty cool too.